battery died just like I kind of predicted. So really getting low, like keeping those software costs as low as possible. And like this is coming from a guy that spends $20,000 per year on software. Anywhere between it's between like $20,000 to about $24,000 a year on software. And like that's something I've been even thinking about like this week. I've been like going through with my partner. I'm like, hey, what are all the different like software we have for like the business, and like what can we cut off, right? And like we really found there's only like 5 main software we use. The rest are just kind of like little monthly amounts that just kind of add up all at the same time. So it's just like, keep those as low as possible. Like, keep the business low tech. Like my business was super ugly for a long time. Like you can get away with literally just having like a Facebook profile, LinkedIn profile, Instagram profile, whichever one of the 3 that you want to have. You can use Canva. You can use the free version of Canva. You don't even have to get the paid version of Canva to make all your graphics. And even then, just like focus on like having like you can use like Google Drive to make like written posts and stuff, or even like YouTube to store like your videos and stuff. So it's just like it doesn't have to. Or the main ones that you probably would need a subscription for would be like Zoom. That's like $15 a month. Maybe like a scheduling software like Acuity, or if you're like me, like I didn't use a scheduling software for like the first like 2 years of my business, right? I just like manually schedule people on the Google Calendar. So really only you need Zoom. And even if you want to even lower that $15 per month expense, you could just use a phone to do all your consultation calls. And even like your coaching calls, you can use just a phone, right? Or you can do the free version of Zoom for your coaching calls. But I would keep that software cost just like as low as humanly possible in the beginning, right? Because like if you don't have a lot of income coming in from the business, you want to make the income you do have stretch as far as possible. And for a lot of people, in order for like the business to like survive, you have to be able to pay your bills, right? Because the main majority of times why businesses go out of business is because the person can't manage their cash, doesn't have enough savings in the bank, and they just fizzle out, right? And don't let this conversation scare you. Like, business is not scary. It's just you have to really have an understanding and a mastery of mathematics, numbers, understanding your costs, understanding what's coming in, like what's the difference between your revenue, your costs, and your profit, and then really making sure that you're saving for like taxes and stuff as well. But once you have that down, it's just like very consistent, right? And then next thing is going to be, the next cost is really about scaling, right? So profit versus scaling. When you're first starting out, like, depending on the type of coaching you are, if you're doing like fitness coaching, you can go like Instagram hashtags, get a lot of clients like that. Like we have a lot of videos on this channel about like marketing and like how to like do marketing. So I'm not going to go super deep into that, right? But you can use Instagram for free if you're like a fitness coach. If you're a relationships coach, you can probably use like Facebook groups. If you're a business coach, you can use like Facebook groups as well. If you're a life coach, Facebook groups work as well, right? But with those are generally free. So how I generally like to use those is like either through commenting and really interact with other people inside the group, or posting, to get people to come to you. But again, that's free methodology. So you make your posts on Google Documents, right, or Google Drive, whatever you like to call it, and you post them inside of the groups. And that doesn't cost you any money to be able to do that. But that's how you go and get your first set of clients. Where that kind of changes is when you either try and like start advertising, and you try and really start like speeding up how fast you're getting clients, right? So for me, for example, I spend money on like my Facebook group, right? So like how some people have like groups where it's like 1,000 people or 2,000 people, or maybe you invite a bunch of people and get them to your group. After a year, it has like 2,000 people. For me, I get about 1,000 people a month, right? So I'm moving. Let's say it takes you a whole year to get to 1,000 members. If I get 1,000 members in a month, I'm moving 12 times faster than you, right? So, but there's a cost to that, right? And that cost can either be from hiring virtual assistants to go and invite 1 million people into the Facebook group, or just running an ad to get people to join my Facebook group. I have elected to get, to run the ads to get people to join the Facebook group, right? But of course, that's going to cost some money. So when we talk about cost of advertising different things, right? But now there's a cost. So for me to get 1,000 people, generally it's going to cost me about anywhere between like $4,000 to $6,000 per month, right? So let's say that we're making $10,000. If you're making $10,000, but it takes you like, $0 to make it, you are a lot more profitable than someone where maybe the person's at like 15 grand a month, but it costs them 6 grand. Because now on this side, I'm making 15,000 a month, but I'm only keeping 9,000 a month, right? So even though I'm moving faster and I'm making more money, is what the internet would kind of tell you, my profit margin is not as high. So it's kind of a balance between scaling and profit, right? And this is where a lot of people kind of struggle, right? Because just because you've feel like you're making more money on the top line does not actually mean that your business is better. So for example, my coaching business, which does anywhere between like 30 to about 50 grand per month, kind of depending on how many clients we get from like YouTube in a given month, I make a lot more money than some people that do $100,000 a month for their business, right? Because they have like a bunch of VAs, they have a bunch of like staff, they have a bunch of like either coaches, salespeople, appointment setters. They have to pay themselves, they have to pay like taxes, advertisements. They have a lot more costs from that range versus me. Like on the months where I'm at 30K versus 50K, my costs do not necessarily go up between those two amounts. So the profit margin on those is a lot more than what someone else does. Plus, since I have my accounting background, I understand really how to like plan for taxes. So let's say, for example, that at the $100,000 per month mark, the person is operating maybe at like, we'll say, what is that? 100,000. Let's say they're operating at like maybe a 15% profit margin, right? That means they're making at the end of the day, what is that, times 12, they're making $180,000 net profit. Okay, cool. So me, let's say that I'm at, we'll say 350 in a year, right? But I am about 50% profit margin, right? That means I'm making about $175,000. So about $5,000 per year less, okay? But that's like one cost. But now there's another cost that no one really thinks about until it gets too late, which is taxes. So now let's say that most people are gonna be taxed at $180,000 times, we'll say like 0.3, we'll just say 0.3 just to be safe. That's $54,000 in taxes versus someone like myself where I understand how to take all of these different deductions. I understand how to utilize that money in a very tax effective way. Let's say that for me, my $175,000 is only taxed at about, we'll say 10%, just to be, just to have a round number. I would only pay $17,500 in taxes. So at the end of the day, I would actually make more money than someone that's doing, $100K per month, but they don't understand how to play like the tax game, right? So it's like there's a lot of different costs that are associated. And again, this is kind of why, like, if you're doing it on your own, like, it does take you a lot longer to find the goal versus if you like work with someone, because I can look at your numbers and say, okay, hey, so this is kind of, you're really, really unprofitable here. You need to kind of drop this number in order to make this other number go up, and you can just get more clients, get more revenue, and you'd be able to actually go. Like another way you can like really enhance your profit inside of a coaching business is having two different programs. So you have a program where people start off as like a beginner, right? And then once they kind of reach another goal or another level, you have a second program, which is going to be like either a mastermind, it's going to be a live event, it's going to be an upgrade, it's going to be like maybe you do the services for them, maybe you go and like do matchmaking for them, whatever. But this one is going to be way more profitable in the front end because you're getting someone to buy twice, right? So you don't need quite as many clients, and it just makes it a lot easier for you to go and hit like revenue goals. Which is like another profit margin thing. We'll talk more about that in like different videos, so don't worry about that if you don't really understand that. I don't really have a lot of time to go into that, like how to really structure that inside of this video. So next thing that's going to cause the cost to go up is going to be hiring team members, okay? So specifically hiring ineffective team members or being inexperienced in hiring. Now, a lot of times what happens is when people hire for like a corporate role and like their job, the hiring techniques do work, yes, but it's not really just about picking the right person. It's about knowing how to manage the right person within your existing business model. And it's like it makes logical sense that it would be the same, but when you actually play it out, it's so much different. So for example, generally hiring the team member in itself is going to cause you to be less profitable in a lot of cases, at least in the beginning. Once they kind of get ramped up and they start doing better than what you would, then yes, they can be very profitable. At least in the beginning, it can be a little bit expensive. But next thing, if you hire someone before you understand the full scale, then number one, you can't really train them as well, so they're going to be a little bit inefficient. So they might not do a good job at the job you actually hired. And since you might not really, know the exact skill or what a good person inside this role looks like, you're going to think they're doing a good job, but really they're doing kind of trash. It's not until you hear someone else or someone with a little bit more experience who tells you like, hey, this is actually kind of a trash kind of thing. Or when you do analysis at the end of the year, like this person just broke even. Like there was no net benefit of having this person on the team other than just causing you to have to like spend your time managing that person. Like there was no net. We had a person like that too, actually. last year. Like we cut them off, but it was just like, you know, because it looked good on paper. When you actually like take out like their cost plus their commission plus the ad spend that was associated with that we're giving that person to book calls, it's just like, you know, you're not really helping. So we just let them go, right? Next thing is, yeah, in a lot of cases, the person who you hire, this is kind of the flip of the opposite side. So maybe you hire before because you didn't know what you're doing and you just want to like someone to save you. But the other thing is when you're really good at something, you hire someone that isn't very good. So now there's an inefficiency because the person's doing a worse job. And you have to make that choice of like, are you either going to train them or are you just going to kind of let them like sink or swim? Now for me, what that looks like is like, it's just like, what used to happen was anytime I would like walk away or anytime I would like hire like an appointment setter, for example, I would hire someone, but that person would be like trash. So I would literally have to either like help them out or I'd have to like come behind them and book calls with them. And like they would start the conversation, but they wouldn't know like how to end the conversation, or they would leave conversations unread. And like the person like just didn't book the number of calls that I could if I was doing it. I usually would book like 2 to 3 calls myself if I spent like three hours in the inbox. They spend 8 hours in the inbox, they book like 0 to 1 call per day. And it's just like, what are we doing here? So they're like 33% of my level, right? So now your overall revenue and in some cases your profit are going to drop down because now you're paying this person, you're not making as much, you're not collecting as much money in revenue, so that your profit margin is even lower. So now it's even more expensive. The last thing is like hiring someone without having supervision, right? Because they might start off really good and like they might be paying for themselves, but as they keep going and going and going, like the amount of return you're getting goes down. So if you're not watching these people or calling them out when they do like weird stuff or when they don't perform the way you need them to, that's going to cause your costs to actually rise as well. So those are really the costs of running this business and how much it starts to, or costs to start a coaching business. So if you have those costs and if you understand that, I would recommend starting this business. It's one of the easiest business models to like run. Once the business is up, it's so easy. It's super consistent. It's very fun. You're doing a lot of different tasks. Like sometimes you might be like writing content, making video. You might be doing a consultation call. You might be coaching people one day. Like there's a million different cool things you can do inside of this business. Like you'll hire people, you'll talk to your team. Like there's so many different things you can do and you can really make the business what you want. But you know, you have to be willing to kind of pay that initial cost to be able to go. Okay, so if that's you, if you've already paid that cost and you're just ready to go and get like the fastest path towards reaching your goal, or you want to just like really avoid a lot of the mistakes that maybe I've made along the way of growing my business. If that's you, go ahead and click on the link inside the description, either above or below the video. Book a call with myself or a member of my team to see if like we can help you inside of our program. Okay, keep in mind we can't help everybody. Like we're keeping this mentorship program for coaching consultants on the smaller side. Right, because I really wanted to make sure that I could provide really great support and really not take the majority of the focus away from my main coaching business, which is for accountants and bookkeepers. So I want to make sure like I can help, like if I bring someone on, I want to make sure I can actually help them to like the best of my ability and make sure they can actually go and reach the goal and like, you know, get to like anywhere between like 10 to like 30K per month. Okay, so I want to keep it small. I want to keep it very streamlined. I want to make sure that if I'm working with you, I can help you out as much as possible and you're in it for the long haul as well. Okay, so if that's you, go ahead and click on the link inside the description, book a call, see if it's a good fit. If it's not, there's no harm, no foul. I'll point you in the right direction, give you some resources, and make sure that you'll be on your way and be better than, you know, when I met you, okay? So if that's you, see you soon. Take it easy. If it's not you, I'll see you inside of the next video. Take it easy.